Where is it?
Hello.
You alright, mate?
Yeah, yeah.
Not bad. Listen, I had an idea. Alright.
Hit me.
I know it's been a while, but did you want to think about maybe getting a podcast done again?
Yeah, could do if you want. Sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, can you do it today?
Yeah, sure. I'll be there every time.
Alright, cheers, man. Oh, shit. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm good.
And on that note, welcome back. Welcome back to the podcast. It's been a number of months.
Been a
An
while.
extremely long time, actually.
Was it February, January?
It's start of the year. Start of the year. It's been forever. There's no real reason. I think just changing in a lack of time, really. But we're back.
One of the people who isn't here at the moment was kind of busy, so it called just fell.
Yes, yeah. I think personal things just got in the way. Today we've got me and Ash.
You've realised there's a missing man here.
Yes, there is a missing man. Finn will be dropping in and out every now and again just to try and get this out more often.
The main,
Obviously, occasionally, some of us aren't going to be available. We've got a plan for that. But
you're most likely going to get me most of the time, so you guys better like it.
You better like him. You've got to put up with him now.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
But yeah, so we've taken the time out. We've taken the time to start fresh. This is going to be episode 1 of hopefully a more consistent series.
Hopefully more consistent than Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah. There'll be one good episode, a Champions League final, and then
If you're listening to a Spurs fan, you know who you are. I'm on about. I didn't mean. I'm not trying to offend you. You just know it's the truth.
yep. So one of the big changes now, this will be up on Spotify. It will also be up on YouTube, which you're going to be able to comment, give your feedback. Please do. We'd love to hear your thoughts, where you'd like it to go, what you'd like us to try and do. And as well as that, we've now got an Instagram page. You can follow us at BWBB.podcast.
If you want to, that is.
If you want to. We'd love it if you did. If you don't, whatever. Doesn't really matter to us. So we'll get started. I think one of the biggest news stories coming out in football history ever, Kylian Mbappe has had an offer from Al Hilal. The offer includes a record-breaking €300 million signing fee given to PSG. Obviously, PSG would like Mbappe to leave this year so that they can garner a transfer fee for him rather than him leaving at the end of the season on a free, most likely to Real Madrid. So I'm sure they'd love 300 million, wouldn't they?
Mm-hmm. I mean, if there's any PSG fans out there, it's over. He's not playing for PSG again. PSG don't want him. He's been put to the unwanted training squad.
Even if he stays
He
for
won't
another
play.
season, he's not playing. It's a similar story to, I guess, on a much smaller scale with David Raya at Brentford.
If you don't remember, Jack's a Brentford fan.
I will make Brentford analogies all the time. Obviously, wants to leave the club, has a year left on their deal. The club would like them to leave for a transfer fee. The player doesn't want to, so the most likely outcome is they won't be playing for a season. It's the same story here, obviously, with Kylian Mbappe. We all know that the Saudis have a fair bit of money to spend.
Yeah.
So that's meant the £300 million or €300 million, will go to PSG, and over the course of just 1 year, it's a 1-year contract that's allegedly being put onto the table. Mbappe will receive €700 million, making him by miles the highest paid player in the history of football,
Well,
probably in the
his
history of
rivals.
sport.
Mm-hmm.
It equates,
Ronaldo.
if you want to work it out, to just under €13.5 million every week, which is, I mean, it's stupid money. It's about, I mean, if you think of the best players on the planet, your Erling Haalands, they're earning what, 300, 400, 500,000 a week.
Mm-hmm.
It's 26 times more money what they're earning. And to make matters even more insane, this is just a 1 year deal. And if he accepts, he's not expected to stay on for more than 1 year. He'll then be able to go to Real Madrid for free next summer. It's just insane. The Saudis, they're far too much money. Maybe
it works for all of them. It works for PSG because they get 300 million for Mbappe. They can use that to invest until they inevitably get knocked out in the round of 16 in the Champions League yet again. Then it works for Mbappe because he leaves PSG, plays in Saudi Arabia, gets more money than someone knows what to do with, and then goes to his dream club Real Madrid next year for free like he was planning to, and works for Real Madrid because then Real Madrid get
him on a free.
One of the best players in the world, and will be, along with Erling Haaland, the 2 best players in the world.
Coming from a City fan.
I mean, he's not going to be the best because, Erling won the Champions League. So,
yeah, exactly. As you say, this works. Does this work for everybody, though? I think I would not be surprised if PSG reject this offer. And hear me out on it. I know they're not going to get 300 million euros
from anyone else
for a player with 12 months left on their contract.
Spurs.
I mean, it's genuinely, it's the Super League. We've got some massive clubs and Tottenham. So, yeah. But, I mean, you're not going to get 300 million euros from anyone else for a player with 12 months left on their contract. He's not going to earn that money anywhere else.
I mean, PSG did say they don't care who they sell him to. They just go listen to offers for over 100 million.
But
I think it's more Mbappe might reject.
I think there may be an element of PSG almost spiting Mbappe if they reject this deal, saying, well, this is just what you want. Mm-hmm. It's just a stopgap in between. That's all it really is. But yeah, give us your thoughts. Where will Kylian Mbappe be? My thoughts, I think he'll be there for 12 months, and then I think he'll end up at Real Madrid on a free.
I think this is Real Madrid. This is PSG are happy that that Al Hilal have done this, because it gives Real Madrid we might actually have to pay transfer fee for him, because they don't have a striker, and they're probably gonna, unless he goes for a year, which could happen, they'll probably have to pay a transfer fee, and that's what PSG probably want Real Madrid to do. So I feel like Real Madrid will probably put in an offer. It won't be anywhere near 300 million, because if they do, it's crazy. Depending, they've just been done for financial fair play reasons as well. Same as Man
Something
United.
you're familiar with.
Yeah, but so I think there will be offers. Apparently, there's been other offers, but they don't know yet. Apparently, teams like Chelsea, Barca, I don't know why Barca, Inter, Spurs, Arsenal, Man United all want him.
We've just listed 2 or 3 clubs that are literally broke who want Kylian Mbappe this summer.
Spurs won't get him, Arsenal won't get him, and Barcelona won't get him. It's just not happening. It's a dream you can have, but it's not going to happen.
Yep. If Kylian Mbappe decides to join the Saudi Pro League, he'll be joining players such as Edouard Mendy, Cristiano Ronaldo, of course, Roberto Firmino, Ruben Neves, Riyad Mahrez, Kalidou Koulibaly, a plethora of incredible players who have moved to the Saudi League in the last 12 months or so. I mean, it's insane that out of nowhere, all of these players, we're looking at it now. I mean, even players like Jota from Celtic, for 30 million euros, Karim Benzema and N'Golo Kante have all gone to Al Ittihad.
But when you're getting offered that much money, you're not going to turn it
down. It's the wages.
Unless you're really young and you still have a whole career ahead of you, you're not going to turn it down.
Yeah, I mean, we saw this with the Chinese league quite a few years ago, if you remember.
But that just fell through massively.
It fell through. The reason was they didn't bring any talents domestically from China, so it simply became a load of players from wherever for a big paycheck before retirement, a bit like the US league. I think Saudi Arabians are going to do this quite well. They've signed the crazy players, but there is a limit. There's a limit. Only 8 players in the squad can be registered.
Not from Saudi Arabia.
Not from Saudi Arabia as foreign players.
That's why they've all not gone to like Al Nassr and Al Hilal. That's why they're all going to different ones, because they're all the top 5-6 clubs in Saudi Arabia and Newcastle are all owned by the same person.
Yeah,
you just get more money for it.
Exactly. One of the big moves that's currently looking to go through will be Alan Saint-Maximin.
Yeah, that's close.
This
so
is
here we go.
Part of the big transfer pyramid, basically between Newcastle, Leicester, and the Saudis. Basically working in between Harvey Barnes and Alan Saint-Maximin. currently, we know that last night Barnes had said he's leaving Leicester, and it's been confirmed he's joining Newcastle United. I think last night or this morning, which basically all but confirms Saint-Maximin will be leaving the Magpies.
Probably been announced already that he'd gone to Newcastle. But yeah, Leicester announced that he's gone to Newcastle. I don't know if Newcastle announced it, but Leicester said he's left.
Yes, yeah. It's Barnes is pretty much done.
Is it 50 million?
50 odd million pounds. But my big question is, would you rather have Alan Saint-Maximin or Harvey Barnes?
How old is Saint-Maximin?
26, I believe. Mid-20s.
Harvey Barnes is like 23, 24.
Bit older, I think. He's a couple of years younger.
Yeah. I think Saint-Maximin's a better player, but I feel like Harvey Barnes, when he gets older, will be a great player. I feel like. But if you're Saint-Maximin, you're not going to turn down Saudi Arabia. But
He's probably got the good end of the deal, hasn't he?
Yeah, but it's a bit skeptical. Premier League clubs have wrote to the Premier League about skeptical about Newcastle selling their players to Saudi Arabia for allegedly could be more money than they've said that it could be for, which is what Juventus did, and we all saw what happened to Juventus. They got a 15-point deduction and a 10-point deduction.
Seems a bit high and mighty from other Premier League clubs, though. Almost hypocritical if you think about it. Chelsea obviously received about £250 million from offloading their deadwood to the Saudi League. Mendy, for example. Ziyech didn't quite go through, did he? There was a medical
he failed
issue.
in medical.
Failed in medical again because he failed in medical.
Koulibaly.
PSG. Koulibaly obviously went.
Who else was it?
But also you got to think Man City as well with financial fair play. I think it's almost hypocritical from these two teams to be questioning Newcastle United. It doesn't make what they're doing right if there is a problem with the transfer values that they're asking for. But I think you kind of have to be quite clean yourself before trying to accuse anybody else.
Even teams like Man United, who also got done for financial fair play reasons as well.
Absolutely.
It's a bit hypocritical from them to complain about. And then teams like Tottenham, they do have a state there. Nicest way possible, they're the poor top six clubs.
The poor top six, yeah.
Yeah, that's why they don't spend it.
I'd still love
But I feel like
money.
it's more the lower teams that are complaining about it, because you're just going to see the gap between
there's going to
the
be
top
a
six,
larger
Newcastle,
void.
and maybe Villa or Brighton.
Villa have a lot of money. Brighton seem to be able to spend, even if they don't have much money, they're spending it very wisely.
The gap from that will increase. You'll have the same top 8-9 teams battling for Europe, and then you'll have your Fulhams, your Brentfords, your Crystal Palaces, your Wolves, all just stuck in mid-table.
At this moment in
relegation
time, I
battles.
think you've got to decide whether, if you have money, you can spend whatever you want. You put stupid amounts of money into facilities and players, but I think you also begin to see success from teams who, like Brighton, like Brentford, who are just well run, who use other metrics, not just goals and assists or clean sheets, looking at save percentages, pass accuracy, just these finer details to find hidden players who are amazing.
And certain players who want to find out how good the odds are for the next game. Tony. Sorry, just had a bit of a cough.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
I thought so. But, I mean, moving on from this to just general transfers, I mean, there's been some money splashed around. I mean, the main talking point at the moment would be Harry Kane, probably. Where's he going to go? Is he going to stay at Spurs?
Bayern Munich.
Can Postecoglou keep him at Tottenham? Would you keep him at Tottenham?
If I was as a Tottenham fan, I know Tottenham fans. I've spoken to Tottenham fans. They want him to stay, obviously, because I saw a thing saying if they removed his goals last season, they'd been like 16th, 15th.
They'd have had someone else to put the goals in the back of the net. They would have done because he wouldn't have played.
But they wouldn't have been Harry Kane, would it?
It wouldn't have been Harry Kane, but they would.
But on a stat of if you just removed Harry Kane's goals without any hypothesis, how much he helped them last season to at least get them. I know they didn't get Europe, but at least get them into the top half. But Bayern Munich have had 2 bids rejected for Kane and preparing a third one. PSG are also interested if Mbappe leaves, which is looking quite likely.
Again, it's a player with only 1 or 2 years. Is it only 12 months now left on his deal?
Yes, and he has no plans to extend finally.
He has no plans to extend.
And Tottenham have no plans to sell him to a Premier League club. So Man United, they want him, but they're
Man
in a
United
bit.
seem to have changed their sights to the Atalanta striker. I can never say his name. Is it
Højlund?
Højlund.
Yes,
Yeah. That's going to be roughly 50 million.
Yeah.
So it's a better deal financially than spending upwards of 80 million on Harry Kane. Obviously, Daniel Levy has been told explicitly that if he cannot get Kane to sign a new multi-year deal, he has to sell him this summer, as to not have him leave on a free in 12 months' time. Bayern are obviously expected to be, I guess the only way to describe it is they are the front-running team. They are the guys who are probably going to sign him.
Yeah.
And as such, it seems like Manchester United have backed off signing Harry Kane, looking at Højlund as well. But they need a striker as well, 100%. I mean, Marcus Rashford will bang in the goals, but I think Man United just need that goal-scoring threat as well as Rashford to propel them to be a genuine top four, like even looking at challenging for the title again. That's the main thing that I think they need.
Yeah, Man United. Speak to any Man United fan. They'll tell you that they need a striker. Because Rashford, he had a good few months and then fell off a little bit. And then that's what kind of cost him. Because I know they claim they were in a title race, but that kind of cost them. A little way off. Yeah.
I think
they did dip a lot at the end of the season.
There's certain teams like that just need one or two more quality players. I think Man United is a very good example of that.
Yeah.
That would just need, even if it's Højlund or if they manage to somehow get Kane, I think that would just push them just over the edge of where they are now and give them that extra edge. I'm surprised they haven't, well, they obviously used to have Romelu Lukaku. I'm surprised they haven't thought at all about re-signing him.
I was watching videos and looking up about it. Apparently he burnt bridges with Man United.
Yes,
and the only team that wanted to save him was Inter Milan, and then he was close to joining Inter Milan. They had a deal agreed, and then he opened talks with Juventus if Vlahovic leaves, which looks quite likely because they're not in Europe. Well, they are, but they're in the Conference League, and so
might as well not be in Europe.
Unless if you're a team like Juventus, you don't want to play in the Conference League. Inter Milan are I know Inter Milan wanted what's his name, Lukaku.
Yeah.
But he wanted to go. He was talking to Juventus and everything. So then Inter Milan fans got angry. The club got angry, and they said, "We're not signing you." And now Juventus fans don't want him either. So they're in a bit of a situation of just neither of them want him. And
he does know how to burn his bridges, doesn't he? He knows how to burn his bridges. He's burnt bridges with Chelsea.
Yeah.
Chelsea don't want him. United won't want him. He's burnt that bridge. No way in hell, even if you thought about him going back to Everton, not happening. They don't have the money. Inter Milan, he's burnt that bridge. I still don't think he's going to go to Juventus. I don't think they can afford it, even if they sold Vlahovic, just because he's going to want such massive wages. And he's against going to the Saudi League. I could see him being without football, potentially being without a club for at least 12 months. And I think he's only got himself to blame.
Elise as well.
Elise, yes.
Chelsea and Man City are both interested.
Chelsea and Manchester City are interested in Michael Elise from Crystal Palace. A £35 million release clause I've just seen.
It's not bad.
That's very good value for what is a fantastic player, and only 21 as well. Chelsea have allegedly made an offer already. I would assume it's matched the £35 million release clause. Man City are also interested. I would imagine if they are that interested, they'd be making an offer in the next 24 hours.
Yeah. I mean, he is injured though, and they want to find out the extent of his injury because it looks like it could be a long injury.
Yes, yeah, exactly. I mean, you can't really sign him now then because he failed medical.
Yeah.
We're speaking of which, Hakim Ziyech apparently may well be going to Saudi League again, even though he failed his medical. Not sure how that's going to happen, but yeah, I don't really know.
Nah.
He's such a failed, not even a wonder kid, but just a failed star player. The move to Chelsea could have gone so well for him.
Just like every other player that moves to Chelsea, realistically.
They don't recruit well.
No.
I'd argue Chelsea.
Yeah.
Chelsea have the worst recruiting of the entire league.
Yeah, I agree. Marco Silva rejecting an offer.
Fulham. I was going to touch on Fulham just slightly. I could not be happier as a Brentford fan. Marco Silva I
Even
mean, he's
though
had
they beat you,
3
so-
offers now from the Saudi league, upwards of £40 million a year to pry him away from Fulham. I wouldn't, honestly, if Marco Silva left, and it's looking like Mitrovic is going to leave to go to Saudi Arabia as well, and Polinia may end up going to West Ham. That seems a bit more unlikely though. But if those three guys leave Fulham, honestly, I would be jumping up and down, off the walls. You couldn't bring me down. I'd be so happy.
I mean, I don't think you should be too happy as a Brentford fan, depending on the result of them playing you yesterday. But we'll get onto that later on. But so he rejected them. Mitrovic has said he's never playing for Fulham again. They've signed Raul Jimenez, or very close to, which is
I don't know about that.
back in 2019. That would have been a good deal.
$5 million is a very cheap deal for Raul Jimenez, but he's clearly not the player that he was.
Back in
just a few
2019,
years
that
ago.
would have been a brilliant deal. But now,
I think it's after his head injury. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
confidence. I don't know if it's just the injury,
no.
but he's clearly not the player that he was. Not at all. But you touched on the result yesterday. I don't really want to talk about it, but we probably have to.
One
Premier
more thing
League-
quickly though about
Yep.
transfers. I just read something that Oxlade-Chamberlain, after leaving Liverpool, has gained interest from Saudi clubs, Besiktas, and Brentford. Would you
I
take
heard Aston
Oxlade-Chamberlain
Villa.
at Brentford?
I heard Aston Villa. Would I take Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain at Brentford? On a free, I can't see why I wouldn't, to be honest with you. We're known for taking those risks, those gambles on players
Yeah.
such as Eriksen, for example. Taking a player that's potentially a bit of a loose cannon. Is he going to work? Is he going to spend the whole time injured? Is it a waste of money? But I think on a free transfer, I can't see how he'd hinder the team at all. I think he's got the Prem experience. He can play on the wing still. He's only 29 as well, I was reading. I don't think that's... I still think you get 3 or 4 good years out of him.
He's similar to like Ziyech. His career didn't just turn
It's
out how he
injuries,
wanted it
just
to.
injuries. But yeah, I'd be happy to have him. I think he'd add something to the club.
Oh well, Harvey Barnes has been announced as on the Premier League site. He's in a Newcastle shirt. So.
Yep.
Also, it's another signing, Diaby to Villa. That's a good signing.
That's a very good signing.
After he rejected Al Nassr as well. He rejected Saudi Arabia to play for
I think more players need to do that, to be honest with you. I
he's
think,
young. He's only like 25, 26.
Yep.
So he does like I was saying, as a Man City fan, I'm upset Riyad Mahrez left because he was one of my favourite players. I know he was 32, 33, but he still had a good few years left of him, and I reckon he would start for most teams in the Premier League, bar Liverpool.
just because
probably.
of Salah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Because he's a good player, and there's still a good player in there. He creates moments for us, and we need him. Like, he got us to our first Champions League final, and I loved him for that. But it's just players like Milinkovic-Savic as well, going to Saudi Arabia, and I know we're getting back onto the Saudi Arabia topic, but players like that, and then I know Koulibaly didn't really have a good season, and Mendy as well. But Mendy was one of the best goalies in the world. Like, I still remember that save he made against Brentford to keep them.
To keep him in the game, to keep it
Yeah.
0-0.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a brilliant save.
It was incredible. I remember it, unfortunately, quite well.
All these players are just leaving and going, like Jota as well. He's only like 23.
Yep.
And he's gone to, like, I guess money talks.
Money does.
The money you get from those Saudi clubs, you'll be able to, your kids, your grandkids, your great grandkids, your great great
It's setting
grandkids.
people up for
Yeah,
generations.
they'll be fine for life.
Premier League clubs currently are out in the US for the Premier League Summer Series, whatever you want to call it. It's PL in the USA or Summer Series, whatever its name is.
Yeah. We've had 3 games already.
3 games, 3 absolute crackers as well.
Yeah.
The opening match on Sunday, Chelsea played Brighton, ended up winning 4-3. And honestly, I've watched the highlights. A fantastic match.
Danny Welbeck opened the scoring in the 13th minute, and then before Nkunku equalised, getting his first goal for Chelsea.
Mudryk defied physics.
Oh,
He
I've seen
scored.
that. That was a good goal.
He
Yeah.
didn't- not even his goal. He just scored.
Oh, yeah.
Finally.
Conor
Honestly.
Gallagher scored. He
So
could
Chelsea
have a
were
good season.
3-1 up.
And then João Pedro scored a penalty. I've seen the penalty. It was a good.
Well, Nicholas Jackson opened his account for Chelsea first. I know
he's
it's a friendly.
been good though. He played a friendly against Wrexham and he scored 2. I want to say. I think.
It's Wrexham.
Yeah, but still scoring.
I know they're a fantastic club with obviously Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney owning them. But you've still got to remember
And then,
that's a League Two club.
and then my goat Dennis Undav scored.
Oh yeah, what a man! What a man! So a very good first game for the likes of Joao Pedro, Nicholas Jackson.
Joao Pedro was good. I've seen him play in real life quite a few times.
Yeah,
Watched Watford with family, and he's a great player.
Yeah, very, very good player and a very, very good game
Hopefully,
as well.
Cuckoo can break that curse though.
We had our own West London derby as well, as
Oh.
Fulham took on Brentford.
Fun fact: Harry Wilson scored before Brentford even had a touch of the ball. Apparently,
Don't remind me.
And
Don't
it was
remind
3
me.
minutes, and then Visser equalised. He could have a good season, as obviously they're with no Tony until next year.
People are saying we're going to struggle without Tony. I don't think we will.
You will to an extent. You won't. You won't do as well as you did last year, but you won't struggle to a point where you.
I don't think. I think results-wise, we'll
he did
stay
score
very
like 18
similar.
goals last season.
I know, but when we have been without him, we play a very different style of football.
You beat Spurs, to be fair, without him.
We ended up beating Liverpool as well. Thought we drew them, but we ended up
Yeah.
winning without scoring multiple goals without Ivan Toney. When we have Ivan Toney, it's important to get the ball to him because we know he can make things happen. When we don't have him, it's almost like instead of having one striker, we almost have 4 or 5. You look at like Visser, Mbermo, Sharda, when he's fit, Lewis Potter, and even in the midfield, like Damsgaard, Jensen, all of these players kind of bond together. And whilst none of them will have the same goal tally as Ivan Toney, they all chip in together, and as a group, you start scoring the same number of goals. So that's why I think Ivan Toney is a fantastic player. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think we're going to struggle as much as people think without him. I think we'll be just fine.
Carlos Vinicius then scored to make it 3-1.
Yeah, Carlos Vinicius just after half time.
And then Aya literally scored about a minute later.
Yeah, Aya, when he is fit, decides that he's actually a striker, to be honest with you. I don't know why we play him at centre-back, because he scores goals and doesn't defend.
David Raya, though, did play in the second half for Brentford.
That was surprising. I'm
I thought it
surprised
would
by
have
that.
been Strakoschka who came on, not David Raya. But maybe they're trying to keep him fit to get money from other teams. Could be.
Or we're planning to use him this year. I don't really know what's happening with that. It's all gone quiet.
Because you've just signed a new goalie, and if I was that new goalie, you've signed him as a replacement for the goalie who's supposed to leave, and he doesn't leave, and he starts over you, you'd be quite annoyed.
Yeah, I'm.
Because he's dropped European football to play for Brentford. He wants to start.
My expectation is that Mark Fleckham will be our number 1 this year.
David Raya doesn't deserve to start. The way him and his agent have been kicking off about wanting to leave, he doesn't deserve to start. He was good for you. He's very
incredible,
good keeper.
incredible goalkeeper. And finally, one last game that's been played so far. I know there's a few fixtures to come. Newcastle played Aston Villa. All of these games had more than 5 goals or more scored in them. All of them incredible matches. Actually,
Ollie Watkins and
I think
Buendia.
Ollie Watkins is going to be an incredible player this year.
He was a good player towards the back end of last season.
I think he'll continue that form on. But on a side note, do you reckon Newcastle or Aston Villa will finish high on the table? Because Villa have recruited extremely well.
Yes. Newcastle, no. Newcastle, I feel, will struggle because they've got Champions League football along with all the other things. And their squad depth, as much as they have the money, is not amazing.
I was thinking about this. I think Newcastle are at a risk of becoming too one-dimensional. If you think about the signings that they've made.
Tonali.
So, Tonali...
Looks thrilled to be there.
I think Tonali is just a very similar player to Bruno Guimaraes.
Yeah.
And I think Bruno
their
Guimaraes...
midfield is brilliant, can I just
It's
say?
brilliant, but it's one-dimensional.
Yeah.
Joe Linton and Bruno Guimaraes aren't that different. It's just one plays a bit deeper than the other. And Tonali's a very similar player to Guimaraes.
But he's more defensive. He'll be there.
He's more defensive, but they both play trying to build an attack from the back. I think that they're at a risk of that midfield not having enough creativity. It's not creativity that's the problem, but I think they all do the same job. Suddenly, if it's not working against one team, you have no answer to it.
You don't have that creative player.
And the same with that. I think losing Saint-Maximin and replacing him with Barnes is a mistake. I think Harvey Barnes is an incredible player, but I think Saint-Maximin was on the ball, just
brilliant.
Different grade.
I still remember, we played them early in the season. He terrorised our defence. Yeah. He terrorised Cancelo. He terrorised Walker. Honestly, I know at this point we're still trying to find out how to fit Erling Haaland. I understand that, but he terrorised us with his pace, his skill, his dribbling, and on his day he's
unplayable. And I wonder that Barnes is just a little too similar to the likes of Almiron and everybody else they have, and Gordon. I think that he's just a little bit too much like them.
Yeah. I don't really go into a champion. If I'm in a Champions League, if we're in a Champions League quarterfinal and I'm playing against Newcastle and I see the likes of Harvey Barnes, Anthony Gordon, and
It
Dan
doesn't. It
Burn,
doesn't
it
scare
doesn't really
you
threaten
as
you.
much as Alan Sir Maximin would, because he's just such a different player.
Yeah, but they do need to buy a left back. You cannot use Dan Burn if you go up against if they get Real Madrid in the group stages and you have Dan Burn against Vinicius Junior and Rodrigo,
Yeah.
that's not going to go well.
Yeah.
They do need to. They have got the money, but it's obviously with the whole financial fair play reasons, they can't spend as much as they'd probably like to. But I think they will do well. They will get Europe next season. 100%.
Yeah.
I just don't think it'll be Champions League. I think Liverpool will be back.
And I think they've still got another game to
Chelsea will be back
find
as
out
well.
how to suss out their team in this summer series. You've got on Wednesday, Brentford will play Brighton. Thursday, Fulham will play Aston Villa, and Newcastle will play Chelsea.
That's why after we'll do a break in a little bit, and then we'll do our predictions, and then we'll tell our predictions because I want to see because obviously Spurs missed out on Europe, Chelsea missed out on Europe. I don't think they'll both miss out on again.
It's a big difference.
Two of them will miss out,
and 3 final games this upcoming weekend. On Saturday 29th, you'll be able to watch Brighton play Newcastle, and on the 30th, Aston Villa will end up playing Brentford. Chelsea will play Fulham. A lot of London clubs. All of them can be watched.
Newcastle as well playing Chelsea on which day is that? Is that Wednesday or Thursday? Thursday. Brentford play on Wednesday. Brighton at 10:30 at night if anyone wants to stay for that one. Or
I'll
you
be
can
staying
stay
up.
1 o'clock in the morning to watch Newcastle
This is
Chelsea.
a bit of a problem. You have all of these games, and all of them are absolutely fantastic games, but they have to be shown at such horrible times. I mean,
America.
It's only on the Sunday when you start getting evening games that aren't. I mean,
ridiculous times.
No one's going to be getting up, I don't think, at 1:15 in the morning to watch Newcastle play a friendly against Chelsea.
No.
I think they missed a trick there just slightly, but they're all available to watch on Sky Sports. I know we're finished with transfers, but I just wanted to rub salt into Ashton's wounds with what's happening with Josko Gvardiol.
So I'll catch everyone up. If you don't know, Man City have been after Gvardiol for the whole summer. He's a brilliant centre-back. Left-footed, one of a rare kind left-footed centre-back. Brilliant on the ball. Pep loves him. Pep wants him. So we go for him. They want €100 million, 86 million pounds. City are like, I don't know, we don't want to overspend on a player, which obviously we don't overspend apart from unless we have to. But then Fabrizio gives it the here we go, and everyone knows the here we go is usually very reliable. But then it comes out the next day that it was a leak. There was a leak that Man City had done a medical with him behind Leipzig's back, and they'd agreed a fee when they'd had a verbal agreement but not an actual agreement on the fee. So Leipzig were not happy. Man City were not happy either. So there is tension between the two clubs about the signing of Gvardiol. So it's taken a couple steps back. It's not fallen through, and that is key for everyone to know. It is not fallen through. The deal is still on. It's just a bit difficult. The clubs are trying to sit down and talk it out, patch the issues, and then go back on it. But there is a chance that he could stay at Leipzig this season, but City will push for him because City want him.
But is that a Manchester City issue that the leak has occurred and that there's false stories being thrown around? Is that necessarily Man City's fault? Should they be punished for it?
Nah, it's not.
And by punishment, we mean the deal potentially doesn't happen.
It's not, because the leak wasn't Man City or Leipzig. It was a leak from a reporter that said stuff. Fabrizio picked up that he was told 2 different stories, and he went with that it was the deal done. City are adamant to Leipzig they were not the reason it was leaked, and Leipzig are adamant they're not the reason it was leaked. So obviously there's going to be tension, because it's like, say you and your friend were having a conversation.
It's almost like, well, it wasn't me, but it wasn't me either.
Say you and your friend having a good conversation in a group chat, and then someone screenshots it and puts it all over social media. You're both going to accuse each other of, why'd you leak that? Why'd you leak that? You said you weren't going to tell anyone. So it's just
a breakdown in trust is the only issue.
It's going to take a while. It would still go through. There is reports saying that City have found patches, and I think €100 million is quite a lot for a defender, but he's 22 and he's left-footed. He's a brilliant defender, so I'd love us to get him. But if we don't get him, we need to buy, because we're losing a lot of players. We've lost, I don't know if you've seen this, Jack, but we've lost Walker, looks to be going. Mahrez is pretty much gone. Gundogan's gone. Laporte wants to go. We need to bring in replacements, because we can't rely on these young players. As much as they are good,
you can't lose as many important members of that squad as you are without replacing them.
Cancelo as well. He's a bit of a touchy subject. He played for us yesterday in a friendly. He did well. Got an assist.
He's gone with the squad.
Which, if he was going to go, then he wouldn't. Like Mahrez didn't go with the squad, but it's a touchy subject. If he can fix his attitude issues,
I think it's just because there is no concrete deal in place.
Barca want him, but they can't afford him, so that's not going to happen. But if he can fix his attitude issues, we'll keep him. But I don't think he will. So
I think he needs to understand that he's not bigger than the club.
No.
He's not bigger than any of them. If he ends up not playing a few games a season, or he doesn't have a run of games because he's been in bad form, and they've got a young lad like Rico Lewis, who was the problem in the end, who's taken his spot momentarily, you've got to understand that there's going to be chances to play. And you're only going to make it worse.
And defensively, he is really quite poor. I don't know if you guys saw last season against Liverpool. He's the reason we lost at Anfield because Salah absolutely tore him a new one. But he's great attacking wise, and then he could play attacking. But then we have Sergio Gomez, who was supposed to be our left back, great attacking wise, and we have no fullbacks. If Walker goes, no one. No fullback that likes to play fullback.
Defensive-minded fullback.
We need to get some more. We can't just rely on 4 centre-backs to play at full, or 5 centre-backs to play across the back line, because there will be games like against Real Madrid where a player with the pace of Kyle Walker will be brilliant against the likes of Vinicius Jr. That's why we got past them, and that's why we won the Champions League, because Kyle Walker's pace was the reason that we beat Real Madrid. So we need
100%.
to sign defensive players, and we need to sign a replacement winger, because otherwise if Bernardo leaves as well, that's who I forgot to mention, then we don't have anyone to play on the wing apart from Phil Foden and the youngster called either Oliver Bob or Ben Knight and Jack Grealish. Your
problem also is that it's been great financially for you, but you haven't. The players that have came through your youth academy have then been sold on to other clubs. Carlos Borges?
Yes.
He's left to West Ham, wasn't it? About £15 million. Romeo Lavia.
Last season.
Bazunu's
gone. I know he wasn't.
Bazunu was
James Trafford.
James Trafford's left now as well. He would have been a fantastic player for you guys, I reckon.
But we do have buyback options.
And also Shea Charles as well. Shea Charles has gone to Southampton now.
Yes. Buyback options aren't going to help us this season. Buyback options will help us in the future. Say we feel, we want Lavia
3 or 4 years' time, you could get an absolute bargain on him.
Yeah.
But
same with Douglas Luiz as well. We sold him. Look how brilliant he's doing now. We're not probably going to get him back because he's not going to want to be a backup to Rodri. So it's just we need to make some improvements. And
you need to recruit well as well. I think the problem has been recently is you look at the likes of Calvin Phillips who you've signed. He's not played amazing. He was injured, obviously, but he wasn't playing amazingly well. And Jack Grealish as well for a season.
First season.
You just have to. There's players that you're going to have to give time, and there's players that just aren't going to make it. No. And you've got to recruit extremely well.
With Guardiola, you need to have patience. If you don't have patience, you're not going to cut it as a player for him. And that's
absolutely.
I know I spoke a lot about Man City, so I'll let you quickly speak about. Is there anyone you want Brentford to bring in? Any recruitment you feel like Brentford need to bring in?
I think we need a striker.
You can't.
It's difficult because you're looking at signing a player who's going to be probably the first name on your team sheet for half a year, and then he's going to warm the bench for the rest of it, unless there's an injury or suspension to Ivan Toney, or if he leaves. So you've got to find a player who's going to both be good enough to be in the starting 11 week in, week out, but someone who's going to accept that they're going to be on the bench for half the year.
You need someone who pushes Toney.
That's impossible to find. We're interested in Gyökeres. He's off now. I can't remember where, but he's left Coventry. So we won't
he's on Sporting.
Sporting in Portugal, of course. We're linked with a couple of players in the French league. I believe it's El Bilal Touré for about £15 million potentially. But it's a very difficult type of player to find. Somebody who's going to be more than happy to sit on the bench week in, week out. And somebody who's going to be more than happy to also play, but also not play at the same time, whilst not breaking the bank for a player of a good quality. It's almost impossible to find that type of player. You've got to find one or the other. You've got to take the hit that you might not have obviously not a world-class striker, but a top-quality striker for half a year, or you're going to have a lot of problems later on. Because I can imagine if we spend 25, 30 million pounds on someone to go up top, and then him or Ivan Toney aren't playing every single week, they're probably neither going to back down.
Yeah.
On top of that, I'd like to see a bit of depth at the fullback position.
Toney does seem to have a bit of an attitude issue, I think.
I could see
a lot of controversial things.
I could see him having a couple of issues. But I'd love to see a fullback either side, potentially someone who can play on both sides. I love Rico Henry. I think he's an incredible player, very underrated. Probably should have had a go before the World Cup happened in the England side. I think he's a bit unlucky, in my humble opinion, of course.
Yeah.
And I love Aaron Hickey as well. Both two really, really good fullbacks, but I think you want a bit of depth behind that as well.
Your backup's Roslev, isn't he?
Roslev's a great player as well, so potentially someone on the left. But it only takes a knock in confidence for Roslev, and suddenly you're struggling to have a good quality fullback. So I'd like to see that. I like the signing of Collins. I think he's going to be very good.
So how much? Like 18 to
25.
25.
It was expensive, but I think it's
Your
good.
most expensive signing ever, isn't it?
Yeah, transfer record.
Yep.
Yep. So I'd like to see a couple of signings here and there, fullback, striker, but I don't think we're going to need much.
Yeah.
I think it might be worth saving some stock back for the winter, just seeing what happens then.
Before we maybe go on a break or something,
Yeah,
just
sounds
give
good
us.
to me.
I just wanna. There is one question I want to ask you. Miguel Damsgaard.
Yep.
I know you love him. Yeah, he's a big
Fantastic
fan of him.
player. Fantastic player.
Does he need to push on next season? Does he need to improve and be? I know he didn't because he didn't play much last season. Similar like Calvin Phillips for us. Is he a player you need? He needs his second season. He needs to kick on, otherwise his future might not lie at Brentford.
It's an interesting question. I think there's quite a few players like that who we signed last season for the future. We signed multiple young players: Hickey, Damsgaard, Lewis Potter. Lewis Potter was obviously injured a lot for last year, but I was speaking to Brentford fans. That was always going to be a signing for the future. That was always going to be if we lost Wissa or Mbuemo, because he can play on both sides. He was always going to be someone who in 2-3 years' time was going to be a fundamental part of that squad. It was someone that we wanted to get while we could get him cheap, while he wanted to leave so he could play in the Premier League. As for Damsgaard, he was someone who's expected, I think, to push on and give competition on the winger spots. In the end, we've found that he's better at centre mid, but it took us half a year to find that. And when he did play, he was fantastic at the end of the year. Very creative, gave a lot to the midfield. If you had Norgard, who was going to play defensively, and is our new captain as well, so you expect him to play all the time. If he's not available, you have Janelt, both fantastic defensive midfielders.
Yeah.
And then you have Jensen, who was incredible last year. And then you add Damsgaard to that with a bit of forward play. It's a very good midfield. I'd like to see better figures from him in terms of goals and assists. But in the way he was playing, I think you only need to add a little bit to that and you'll see the results.
Because everyone knows who he is. Everyone remembers that.
We remember that free kick.
Free kick against England in the semi-finals. Brilliant free kick it was. And I feel like a lot of people, the only memorable things for other non-Brentford fans is that he missed a penalty in the Carabao Cup. And he kind of I feel like it kind of hit his confidence quite a bit.
There was a confidence knock there. But I think you've got to remember, I believe there was health concerns with him before the start of the year. There was some underlying conditions that we'd have to sort out. He'd been out for like most of the season before with a hamstring injury, I believe it was, or a calf injury, or something on his leg it kept him out for like 10 months. So not only was he not playing at the start of the year, as we found out who he was, we had to nurse him back into fitness as well. And I think that started to show as you got further and further on in the year. Suddenly he was one of the first names on the team sheet in that midfield. He was one of the players who you'd look to for a magic moment.
Yeah.
And he started to show who he really was. And I was very excited by who that turned out to be. I think he'll be fantastic this year.
Well, do you want to go on a break?
And take a quick break.
We'll be back soon.
We'll be back
doing
soon.
Predictions for our Premier League predictions.
Premier League predictions, and we'll have a little bit of chat about recent F1 news as well.